Hi there, Simon from simonwoods.com. 4 Pinot Noirs in front of me, 3 countries, 3 producers, and let's just dig in. First one I've got, it has got a picture of a fantail on a common sight around the vineyards and gardens of New Zealand's South Island. Because, dear watcher, we are on Harvey Nichols Pinot Noir from Marlborough. It's 2010 vintage, and it's been made from them by the Framingham Winery. Well, there's bits of this that I like and bits of it I don't like. I like the strawberry and plum aromas, but then there is also this slightly spicy edge of and a slightly stewed character to the fruit, as if someone has taken quite delicate fruit and maybe just overworked it. It doesn't look from the colour as if they've mashed it a bit too much, so I'm just wondering whether there was something that was a little bit too ripe that ended up in there. But it smells okay. Let's see what it tastes like. It's okay. I would say exactly the same about the taste as I did about the smell. Juiciness, but there's this spicy stewed edge that, and I wish the two would come together and make beautiful music, but the finish I'm left with is just a little bit too hot, as if the fruit had gone a little bit too ripe. Not sure where the stewed edge comes from, but it's okay. Not great, but let's try the next one. We are in Burgundy now with Louis Latour, and it's their Mercury 2009 vintage. So Louis Latour, based in the Côte d'Or, one of the top names of négociants, or most famous names of négociants in the Côte d'Or. But the Côte Chalonnaise is the bit below, where they have villages like Givry, Rouy, Montagny and Mercury. Well, it's a year older, actually it's 6 months older than the one before, but it feels more tight, more closed, and it's whereas the first one was maybe on that berries and plums, here it feels like there's a fresher cherry, and yes, it's still got the red berries in there, but it feels like it's going to be a slightly perkier wine, and got a stalky edge rather than the stewed spicy edge that I got in the first one. It smells like it's going to be more interesting and more tasty. Now, I like structure in my wines, and I'm not a fan of over ripeness. I imagine serving those two to some people, and I prefer the Louis Latour. I like it for it's still got those same flavours, but it's got a backbone of acidity and tannin and freshness. The fruit is juicy, and it's got what the French call that surmaturité, just that little hint of over ripeness, but it's not gone into out and out jamminess. Maybe the best way to describe it is get some strawberries that have gone ever so slightly mushy, shove them in a pan, a little bit of sugar in there, half a minute, the juice that oozes out from the strawberries in just that little bit of time. That's the type of character I get there. I know lots of people who actually prefer the Harvey Nichols one because it's not got that acidity. It's a softer, more I was going to say user-friendly, more approachable, but it's a sweeter style, and so they will dislike it for the Mercury for exactly the same reasons I like it. But you're here for my opinions, not someone else's opinions. I prefer this one. Don't be afraid if you prefer the Harvey Nichols, but for me that is a Thaina Wayne. Final two we've got are in California, and we are in Marimar Estate, so Marimar Torres's place in the Russian River Valley in California, Sonoma Valley, California. It's the first one I've got, 2008 La Masia from all Pinot Noir. We're back to warmth and generosity here. There's a slight licorice character, warm, plummy, rounded berry. Compared with the style that you're getting in Marlborough, here it feels like it's going to be a fuller, rich, almost like a Rhône style of Pinot Noir. Nothing wrong with that as a wine. I mean, we don't all want if Pinot Noir tasted like Burgundy all over the world, then you just find the place that made it to the cheapest of its ability. So here it's a different style, more flesh on its bones. Not the acidity, but it still smells. It's got like that velvety allure that good Pinot should have. Yes, sweet berries, plums, and it's getting into those dark berries. If I have something against it, it's that licorice edge, that edge of over ripeness. It's just coming through a little bit too strongly. 14.5% alcohol. At that level for me, Pinot loses just a little bit of its nuances and becomes, as I was saying, this Rhône style. Nothing wrong with that spiciness and richness, but it misses out on some of the svelte edge of Pinot Noir for me. It is quite seductive, but it's a bit in your face seductive. It's a bit obvious. Don't mind it, but let's see whether the final wine can trump it. And it's again Marimar Estate, Don Miguel Vineyard, Russian River Valley, and this is the Christina Cuvée, which from what I gather is a small bottle. Well, from what I gather from reading the back label, is a small bottling of selected barrels from our cellar, all premium French oak. Let's see how that compares with the one before. So more barrel selection and a year older. Well, I don't know whether it's the vintage or barrel selection, but here I get less of that torrid licorice type character that I got in the 2008. It feels like there's a fresher, more open-minded and gentle but more confident character to the wine. So it smells like there's same sort of fruit flavours, those berries, but more on the red berries and the plums, and there is a little touch of the cherries, very ripe red cherries. But it feels like a fresher, more grown-up wine. Well, I've just checked out the alcohol on there, and well, I'll tell you what I think about it first. I like the aromas, and then when I come to taste it, I don't get the licorice character in quite the same degree that I got in the previous one, and there is this maybe gentler plummy cherry fruit, but it just feels a bit top heavy, and then the finish I'm left with is slightly warm. Then I look at the alcohol, and it's 14.9%. Makes me think that they're growing grapes in a place that's too hot for Pinot Noir. I want a wine like that to have some freshness, to have some perkiness and life, rather than trying to assault me. I don't mind being assaulted by wines that have got high alcohol, but when I think of Pinot Noir, I think of plant it somewhere that's cool. Plant it somewhere where you don't have to wait for it to get to 15% alcohol to be ripe. I think my favourite wine here would probably be that one with a 50-50 measure between. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try some of the Christina with some of the Mercury in there, because both of them, I think that it will add flesh to the Mercury and add structure to the Marimar Torres. And I don't recommend doing this at home unless no one's watching. It's actually quite good, and this is where blenders do make their money. It does add freshness to that one. It does add flesh to the Mercury. But still, I'd say that the Louis-Latour Mercury is my favourite of these four. I mean, Pinot Noir is a confusing beast. Don't be afraid to blend your own at the table, but you shouldn't really have to. Hopefully, if you find a good vineyard and a good producer, someone's going to get it right in the first place without you having to do any jiggery-pokery and cocktail shaking yourself. I'm going to go away now, and maybe I think I'll finish this glass rather than have a glass of any of the individual ones, and I will see you on a future video. Bye.